Hello my dear friends, this is a PaintyKat. My name is Catherine. Welcome on my tutorial. We're going to paint with acrylic today and it's gonna be Lilac Bouquet. So let's start. I prepared paper. It's a canvas textured one, kind of thick, and first I wanna plan very simple table here. It's a 4.5 centimeters from the bottom line of the paper, and it's a 2 centimeters from the down from the first point. I'm using a ruler just to create those lines straight, and let's talk about colors. Size for this painting, I took a paper letter size. It's a A4, 21 centimeters one side and 30 centimeters another side. I will use a flat brush, synthetic. It's from IKEA set. You can use any flat soft synthetic brush for background, and the colors, it's white, it's black. This one, it's umber burnt, and also I will use a little tiny bit of ACRYLIC. On a previous tutorial with the pencils, I demonstrated to you how to go on a background from light to the dark side. Here we will go opposite way, from the dark to the light side. Please choose by your own which way fits for you better, which you will prefer. Personally, I like them both. I like go from the light to the deep tones, from the deep tones to the light. They are actually equal. So let's see how it's going from the dark. Very interesting shade. This time it's brown, but not exactly. It's have a little bit of black in it. Be careful with the coverage. We have to cover those texture of canvas really well. You can replace, you can choose, for example, canvas on board, stretched canvas, and the painting process gonna be the same. So we have a tiny dots in those canvas texture, and on this step we have to cover texture really well. Dab it inside. Acrylic sometimes can be kind of thick, not watery. It depends from the exactly title of acrylic you use, but in general, to give it like more liquid, to spread it better, add a tiny bit of water, but not too much, because if you will put too much of water, acrylic will be running. Still coverage thick enough, but a small amount of water in my mix helping me to cover paper very well. I mixed a bit of more white, and the center of the wall here I'm covering with a lighter shade, and for the lightest area here on the right side I will use plus more white and plus bit more ochre light to the previous mix. You can see on my palette I'm still mixing on the same spot where I'm started. So before it was a deep brown, then I moved there to the middle shade, and now on the same spot I added plus white plus ochre, and this way transition from color to color going very smooth. I like this not too soft gradient. It still have visible brush strokes. I love it. And next we have to plan, we have to create a table. In this tutorial I want to share to you another way of stone creation. Before, on a pansy tutorial, we created granite brown with very big spots. Here it will be another type of it with the tiny dots, and the color is gonna be gray. But if you will take a look on these both still lifes, both bouquets, you will notice composition the same. So you can exchange, you can play around and choose what details you like more and combine your own composition on your own taste. It's important, be able to express your taste, your preferences in your own paintings. So just check which detail in which tutorial you like more, and you can combine it for your own unique result. I want to let you know in the future I have plans to continue this serial. We will paint more flower bouquets, easy one with an easy composition, and in the future, after them all, you will combine easily different type of flowers, different kinds of surfaces to get unique compositions. So look this way, background wall going from the deep to light, from left to the right, and table here going opposite way. So on the right side, we have to start with a dark tone, color the same, it's deep brown, burnt umber plus bit of black. And from the left side, go opposite way, it's a light, so plus white, maybe bit of ochre, but tiny bit. As I told you before, I have plans to create gray granite. Stones can look so different. It can be yellow, orange, red, deep black, different colors really. I'd like to demonstrate the most common, most popular, and in still lifes of Holland artists. You can see there most of the time it's a marble or granite. So these two kinds we will take the most in our tutorials. So you can see the difference between wall and the stone as a tabletop looking more grayish, so black there more and a bit less brown that it was in a mix for wall. And also I took a slanted brush with a sharp edge, just to fix the lines. And on a tabletop we have two surfaces, top one and a side one. Top one have to go dark on the right, light on the left, but side view of the tabletop have to be in shadow, so their color and tone are basically the same on a whole area. That's it. I like the shape. Let me maybe fix a tiny bit more, but I think I'm happy enough right now, and just wanna cover those tiny area on the left side where I have empty spot between wall and a table. Yes, this way. And next we have to dry this first layer of acrylic. I will use just a hair dryer, and I demonstrated this trick many times already. I'm still not feeling tired yet because we just started. When I'm tired and I need to dry my painting, I'm taking a break for coffee. When I'm not, I'm really fresh right now, so I don't need to break, and I will use a hair dryer. A way to imitate a stone here, really fancy, I'd say. I really like it personally. We're gonna use a sponge. It's so easy, you know, if you have no special ones. As I have right now, I order it from the art shop, and the links for supplies I'm using today you can find in the description box. In general, you can use any kitchen sponge. Cosmetical sponge will do not that good work because it's have too tiny structure. We need a more rough structure. I'm covering wall area with empty paper. I mixed color with a bigger brush because sponge not really nice to mix acrylics, and I'm just stamping. Be careful, don't get too much of acrylic. Consistency have to be half dry on your sponge, and don't press too much. Print from your sponge have to be gentle enough and have not to cover previous layer completely. Stamp randomly and next pick fun brush and let's do splatters. Size of splatters depends from the consistency of acrylic, from the size of your fun brush, from many other reasons, but in general all splatters will do good here, will do really nice job. Let's see, I'm knocking my brush and throwing dots around. You can put more, you can put less. If you take a look on a real granite, grey granite, you probably will see also those kinds with the dark spots, with a combination of white, dark and light grey spots. Many different types of granite, but the idea will be the same. Sponging a little bit, then splatters on top, and then drying. Drying again, yes. It would be boring to watch drying process in real time, so remember to plus those time I'm spending for drying. Here, all parts of tutorial with a hair dryer in my hands, they speed up in a 4 times. So I'd say I spent about 20 minutes for drying in a hole here. And next, it's a glazing. For glazing, the most important, it's not to put white in a glazing mix. Take a look, the spot of color, looking on my palette really deep. It's a mix of burnt umber and black, but it's very watery. If you wanna get lighter color, don't put white there, you'll get a coverage. Instead of put more water. Today I'm glazing with water again. Glazing with water, leaving lots of visible stripes from the brush strokes. If you will choose glazing with acrylic retarder, result will be more smooth. But I like those visible brush strokes look. I painted with a slight angle about like 30 degrees, and I'm gonna keep it because it will also give those texture of the stone. And this technique, glazing with a visible brush stroke, after we will use for marble for next tutorials. I recommend to you download Sketch, print it just on a usual printer. It's a letter size, A4 size, and paper can be a normal print paper. Backside of this sheet, cover it with graphite from the soft pencil. Usually I'm using 4B, 6 or 8B. And we have just to follow our lines with a pencil. I'm using pencil or color pen because it's giving me nice visible result, what lines I repeated already and what I still missing. Tutorial about how to transfer in details with video you can find on my YouTube channel. It's free, it's open, so just take an idea. It will help you a lot in all your next paintings. We're going to create lilac. It's many little flowers in one bunch. And you can notice that I have no single tiny flowers. I have only main shapes and shapes not too big. I'd say outline, counting the shape without those tiny petals going outside of the shape. But later you will see why. You will see why I do this sketch this way, and it's helping to mask lines from a sketch, and those lines will be not visible in a final painting. Sketch transferring was also speed up, and be smart when you will plan your time for the whole tutorial. Whole tutorial taking about 2 hours and 30 minutes. Let's start from the composition. First, I will create the lowest layer here, which is napkin. It's a fabric, so we already have a canvas as a painting surface. This way, fabric will look very natural. We already have a texture. All we need to do right now is control watery of your mix. Color, it's just white, but consistency half dry. My brush is flat, slanted, synthetic, very smooth one. And when you will follow lines and folds of napkin that we have from the sketch, try to follow natural lines of folds and fabric. Imagine you try to cover tabletop with a napkin, and with your hands, with your fingers, you will try to follow those folds to give them more gentle and beautiful lines. Try to almost feel it with your fingers. That's how your brush need to go. That's how it's need to repeat natural lines of fabric, of lines of laces. Let's see, it's another side. Here gonna be stripe of the lace, and this is a fabric. Big fold going to the vase, and on the front we have a triangle of a napkin. This is a big fold gonna be. Consistency almost dry. You still can see this texture. It's a dry brush technique. We already used it before for many needs, for many details. It's not tricky at all. If you have too watery acrylic from your tube, you can put it on palette, spread it in a really big circle, give it little time to dry, and only after you can take those white and paint with it. Mine acrylic I'm using today, I'd say yes, it's a bit watery even with no extra water. So I'm drying a little bit before I can use it for painting. Next, it's a vase. Color for vase, very basic here. It's still same colors that we used for background. White, brown and black, grayish brown, not too saturated. Tone light enough, and light direction here going from the left to the right, so right side of the vase gonna be in a shadow. I added plus black plus brown. Also I took another type of the brush. It's a round shape with a pointy tip, watercolor type of the brushes. It's giving better control, and as soon as I don't need here to create fabric effect, I don't need to use flat brushes. So this type of brush I recommend here better. And in general, just to follow idea, dark side of the vase on the right and the light side of the vase on the left. Later we will add more details, but right now we need just to create main shapes and values here. Next color we adding on palette. It's a green medium, and I will mix it with not only umber burnt, but with a bit of cobalt blue. Green leaves that lilac have sometimes have a tiny bit of cold tones greens inside. So try to randomize those spots. Sometimes some area on leaves, maybe bunch of the leaves, can have a warm undertone, so it's a mix of green and a brown. But some leaves have to be cold toned, means we're using more blue in a mix and a green together. Warm tones I'd recommend to put on the left side of the leaves on a bouquet, because here gonna be a light usually warm enough, and cold toned leaves, let's say on the left side. Mostly still spots and brush strokes can be a bit random in each leaf. This way leaves will look very natural, not boring to see. You can make your own experiment, go to the bush of the lilac, try to get two leaves growing side to each other, and you will see lots of difference in the tones and the colors there. No twins in the real nature, even on same branch. And if here in a painting you will paint absolutely same green leaves everywhere, it will look as a plastic, not as a natural. Try to play around a different tones, some tiny accents. Bit of blue, bit of yellow here and there will give more random result, and in the end more natural. No shadows and lights yet here. And type of brush I recommend, it's a slanted flat. Mine have a kind of sharp edge, and I like to use it for green leaves, for pointy edge, really pointy and sharp, giving nice control. If you have your favorite brush for leaves, usually it is, if you already have experience, you know your own tools well, and you already can understand from the shape of the brush, from the size of the brush, what type of brush stroke you'll get from it. So if you have this type, you can use just a normal brush, for example a round shaped watercolor one, but you will need to help to yourself, especially on the tip of the green leaf with a tinier sized brush, for example, with a number 0, maybe number 1. Yeah, you can already understand why we created first layer for napkin and the vase first, because green leaves going on top. Same here. Shape very basic right now. And please pay attention, I'm trying not over mix colors on my palette. I'm not getting just a very well mixed single color. Instead of, I put on my mixing circle bit of green, brown, white, blue, mixing a little bit, like maybe 5 times, 6 times. My brush still have variations of acrylic on the brush, and with a single brush stroke you can feel a different stripes and areas of green in one brush stroke. Don't try to over mix colors too well. This way, again, leaves will look too plastic. We don't need it. Next, right now I use my brush just for mixing. It's a light green. Green plus white plus a little bit of umber burnt. It's a mix for future white lilac. Today I'm planning to create different colors. Light violet with a nice amount of pink in it, a deep violet color of lilac and a white one. And first we have to create underpainting for future flowers, and I'll do it with a stamping with a sponge. Look, and we have to stamp only there where we have an area from the sketch. Color have to be deep enough. Don't create too white mix. Later, I want to let you know, keep it in mind, we will paint with a lighter and a lighter and a lighter petals on top. So for nice contrast, of course we have to put here deeper toned green. Why it's not a blue? Why it's not a gray? Beginners usually like to paint white objects through the gray and light blue mixes. But if you will take a look on a real lilac, you will try to open flower and take a look inside. There, under the white flowers, you will find stems and they are green. And also some sorts of white lilac have a light green tone for flowers itself. And I recommend to paint white lilac through the greens. This way it will look more natural, trust me. But also don't put too dark tones as an underpainting area, because later you have a really hard time to cover it with many layers of white of acrylic. After it's drying, it can be translucent, so if underpainting will be too deep, you will cover and cover and cover with many layers. Instead of, we will go to the lighter petals on a light side and with the darker petals on a dark side, or maybe with the darker spots, I'd say. For pink lilac, I used deep red plus white and a little bit of mixing deep pink and cobalt blue. Looking lovely. Again, It's a question of variations. And in my view, I actually love a mixing of deep pink and umber burnt. Try it. Color looking as a plum and giving a nice deep tone. A little bit only on the right side of flowers, not everywhere. But already on this step, you can see a value that we're gonna have for lilacs. I'm stamping, trying to stamp in area I created with a pencil before. Next piece of sponge. For each color you have to pick up a fresh sponge. And this time it's a new color again. Yes, today you're gonna have lots of it because many colors in a same bouquet. And I put a deep violet on my palette close to the cobble blue, so in one touch I'm taking actually many colors from my palette. And again I will add a fair amount of burnt umber for plum color. Stamp it there where you can create violet flowers. Next, it's a choice for petals. Here I have 3 for example. First with a black pole, it's from the set of 12 different shapes, but I'm gonna use a smaller size from the set of 13 brushes. And it's a flat oval shape. Color I'm mixing on the same spot as I was mixing colors before. That means I'm gonna start with a violet one. I added more white and ready to paint. How to choose brush? It depends what size of flowers you're gonna have in the end. Bigger brush, bigger flowers. Smaller brush, smaller flowers. That's it. And we going following the shape of the lilac, but petals on outline, they going outside a little bit. Direction of light here from the left to the right, so light petals gonna be on a left side. I will add more colors, more violet and bit of deep pink. Don't go with a very white color, very light color from this step right now. Later we will detail petals that already created with extra white. But if we will go with white right now, we will have no option to create it lighter. White on white, not visible at all. So right now, mix is light enough, but it's not white. It's important. We can't use light mix on the whole area of a lilac, because lilac in general have a round shape. It can be oval, but still it's a soft and have a sphere as a very simple shape of the flower. So shadow and lights there, repeating shadow and lights on a simple white sphere. As soon as you're going on a middle area of the lilac, tone of flowers going a bit deeper, and on the right side of the flowers there gonna be a petal with a deeper tone. This way your lilac will have a nice value in the end. This process taking time, yeah, true. Size of my painting, not really big, it's a letter size. And here you can see each flower actually kind of big, right? If you will go for bigger size, for example A3, like a double letter, and you will use the same brush as, for example, I'm using right now, flowers will look smaller with the same brush. Right now I'm mixing darker mix and we'll go with very, very dark petals from the right side of the flower. About sizing of brushes, I don't recommend to you go with a very tiny because it will take a lot of time to complete. Each flower have to be created. If you will go with a tiny brush and you will try to keep the actual size of the real lilac, sometimes it can be very, very tiny, sometimes it can be big, true, but lots of time I saw lilacs very, very small. So if you will go for those sort, painting process can take more than 4 or 5 hours. If you are learning how to create a flower, this flower you want to learn the whole way. You don't need to go to the tiny sorts right now. Try to get and learn on this sized flowers, kind of big, and later, if you will like an idea, you can try for smaller sized flowers. In my view, this brush doing well here, and by the way, I like sizing of single flowers in a bunch. For this second or even third lilac here, process the same. Light flowers and petals on the left side and dark flowers and petals on the right side. Sometimes some single petals can cross each other a little bit. Deeper tones can go on the left a little bit. Light can go here and there on the right side, but in general, light petals on the left, dark petals on the right. Let's jump to the next color. It's a light pink here. I will call it pink, even if it's still violet, because I wanna name it really different. So dark one, it's a violet. Middle tone, it's a rose lilac. Let's say like this. And take a look on my palette. My mixing area kind of close to previous violet. And I'm getting a tiny bit of violet touch from the previous mixing. I like to repeat colors and shades here and there in the whole composition. It's helping to unite composition at the whole painting, and flowers will look not as a separated really. Flowers usually not very accurate painted by the nature. So it's have a slight difference here and there, and also we have lots and lots of reflections on the petals. If you will put different colors of lilac in a real vase, in a bouquet, you can take a look. Some flowers will reflect colors from another's and will change tones a little bit. So take a look on my painting right now. Some petals very pinkish, but some petals really have a violet touch in it. I don't know about your area, but here a lilac flower with 5 petals counts as a lucky one. It's the same as well-known lucky clover with 4 petals, 4 leaves. Here the same, but for lilac. And it's up to you, but in my painting, in my bouquet, I also want to add maybe 2 or 3 lucky flowers with the 5 petals. So if you will notice, some of flowers have 5 petals here. It's not a mistake. I did it on a purpose. In the middle area of the lilac, I'm going with a middle tone. And on the dark side, on the right side, I'm going with a very, very dark tone. Take a look on my palette. Colors there usually looking close to the real than it is on a painting, because when I put color on a painting, it's affected by the colors around, and sometimes it's hard to analyze what color it is exactly. On palette, colors have no brown background around, so possible to understand better how it's looking really. I added more deep pink in the mix, a bit more saturated petals, and just take your time. This process, this step, need attention too. My friends, for those of you who already painted with me before, you remember about important moment, step back to understand the whole painting better, to check the values, if they going correct. For those who just joined to us, I have to repeat. When we working on the details, especially if brush strokes small as we have right now, and lilac looking mosaical, we can easily lose the value of each flower. So it's important to step back like 1 or 2 steps, about meter or so, and try to look on your painting as a whole and don't mention single details. This way you will understand values better. If lilac will look too flat, that's mean you have to give a deeper toned flowers on a right side more and bit more light flowers on a left size. In general, I told you, a lilac it's a sphere, and value on a bunch of a lilac following same order of light and shadows as a usual balls have. As soon as we going with mosaical brush strokes, yes, from the short distance we can lose those visible value. Try to keep it, try to analyze it, and of course step back time by time. These short breaks, not taking long, but in the end can save your time, because when step created not correctly, when a value is lost, that's mean you will spend extra time to get those visible value back. But if you will keep an eye on this moment, and you will be not too lazy. I'm painting on a table, so each time I'm checking value, I have to stand up and step back. It's not that comfortable as just sitting with my painting, true. And still, if I have a kind of long experience already as an artist, I still using this trick. My first teacher told me about it and told me to do it, and I'm still following it. When I was scared, I was mad, angry about this moment. Imagine small girl sitting in a class painting with pleasure, uh, having a fun time with the still lifes and the flowers. And like each 30 minutes, teacher came and shouted on us, "Everyone, put your paintings down close to the wall. We have to check and analyze how the process going." So, of course, it was ruining my pleasure of painting. But with the time, I understood how important it is. It's still part of the painting process, and even if you can't see it on a video, I'm still doing it, and I have to commend and recommend to you to do the same. So actually this is the one of the moments why commenting is so important, I believe. When you will follow just tutorials with music only on the background, please keep in mind, time by time you will check your process from the distance by your own. It will be automatically with experience, but when we're learning, we need reminding about it from someone who can control a painting process. This time I completed a green lilac also. It was just a light green, lighter than underpainting area. And right now I'm just correcting shape of the bunch, some tiny petals, checking what areas are missed and had no petals at all. Mix of color, really deep. So I'm fixing a right side of the bunch. Acrylic drying fast enough. I have no retarder today, and you will see the actual color as soon as brush strokes will dry. Color, you can take a look on it on my palette. I know under the camera, under the straight and bright light, fresh brush strokes not visible correctly. It's have spots of light on it. But this way camera shooting video very sharp with a nice light. Let's take a look on other bunches. This is a color for the pink one. For the pink, I'd not recommend to use lots of violet in the shadows. Instead of it, try to mix rose deep and umber burnt. This shade, very deep, really, sometimes looking even as a black. And it will look nice if you will put some of dark petals close to light petals that are already there, just in case of contrast. See? It's looking as a very deep area inside of the bunch, visible through the light petals. And same here. Not much. Underpainted area was done with a middle shaded colors. So the deepest details and moments we have to put really dozen here. And again, I not recommend to start with a very deep tone on underpainting spot, because this way it will be hard to cover with the light colors later on top. You will spend too much time to cover with white really well. So middle tone on the painted area, light and dark petals on the left and the right side, and the darkest details put it not on many areas, but here and there, visible and giving a nice contrast. Same with the green, just the same, but color here not a pink, not a violet, it's green of course, and color not repeating colors, greens from the leaves. I added there lots of umber burnt and ochre light. So it's like a dusty green, I'd say, brownish green, and I put it some random spots. That's it. Let your lilac dry, and let's pay some attention on the green leaves. So I changed my brush. Before it was flat oval, 4 petals, but for leaves, as I told you before, I prefer to use flat slanted brush. Color mix very light and warm this time, because from the left side I have lots of light, and I'm covering the top part of the leaves with a light green color. Don't blend areas between light and shadow, this way details will look so sharp. And let's go leaf by leaf. Too dark color, I'd say. Let me put extra white. Yes, maybe this one, this shade will look contrasted enough. Yeah. I'm painting only on top. It's like a top surface of the leaf, but the half of dark area still visible, and it's looking like an bottom surface of the leaf. My brush have to stay in my hand vertically, so sometimes true I will cover painting area with my hand. My friends, that's just mean you have to handle your brush also vertically. This way you will have a very nice control on your brush stroke. Like this. Let's mix deep tone. This way it's a green plus brown. As soon as I can do it, I'm trying to avoid mixing black into the colors for flowers. Sometimes it's needed, true, but most of the time it's don't. Black can desaturate color. So of course green plus black will look deeper, but also not that bright and not that juicy as it could look with another combinations. Try to mix green with violet, with red for example. You will see makes also looking very deep. By the way, green plus red can give almost black, but still color will look very pretty, not desaturated. And I'm going all the way again, detailing all the leaves, and on this step you can take a look on areas between a different lilac bunches. If you will notice, there are big holes. Fill it with a deep green. Bouquet will look this way more solid, and of course lilac usually looking solid enough as a bouquet, because in the end, you know, it's a bush, almost it's a tree, so it's not like just a rose, pansies or poppies and other flowers. Bouquet of lilac really solid. So no distances between different bunches inside. In general, green leaves on the right side have more light spots on top and less dark spots, and leaves on the right side have more dark spots and less light spots. And by the way, look how it's going with the background right now. Dark leaves on the right side contrasting with the light background, and the same way light leaves on the left side again contrasting with a dark background behind it. Let me check. Seems like I'm done with my greens. Maybe a tiny touch here and there, and I have to switch for smaller brush right now for better control. Tiny stems between leaf and the branch needs not that big brush as I used before. So for corrections, switch to smaller brush, and probably for the round shape with a pointy tip. Also, I wanna get better contrast, and I mixed green and violet deep together. Mix will look almost as a black on the camera, I believe. Let me take a look. Yes, it's looking almost as if I added black in a green, but it's not so. It's still green and a violet there, only without any black. And let's just contrast a very deep areas on the green leaves. Smaller brush going better here. And also it will help cover distances between bunches in the center. Better, more pointy. I will take small brush for lights, for light accents on the ends. And by the way, I got lots of messages about how hard to find this type of the brush. This brush I used right now, it was a long bristle, a line brush. So on this tutorial I will complete this step with a normal brush number 0. So you will see it's looking almost the same. But I will jump to my palette more times than I would need with my line brush. Line brush, as soon as this type have a longer bristle, it's handling lots of acrylic on it, much more than a normal brush number 0 have. So many lines, long lines, can be created with the linear brushes. With a tiny brush like number 0, number 1, same painting can be done, same work can be done, but you will jump to your palette for extra portion of acrylic more times. And in the end you will spend more time, but result will be very, very similar. So if you have no line brushes and you saw in my tutorial I used it, remember you can replace it with another type, with a normal short brush, same number, and you will have similar result. Light accents on the leaves, going only on the very edges, from the left side mostly, and sometimes I like this effect and spreading color with my fingers. Why I like it? Because this way color blending only on top of the surface, and it's making texture of a canvas more visible, because color not going deep into the texture. But be careful if you're blending with the fingers, same as I do here. Clean your finger after each blending stroke, because if you will not, you will blend on a next move, you will put color from the previous blending. Right? Clean just with a napkin, very easy. I like greens, looking so fresh. So lilac already looking not perfect but okay. Background looking fine. So we have to conform, let's say, harmonize a view of napkin. Color here the most important. It's a white object, but don't paint it with a black, with a grays or with a blue, because we have no these colors here around. What we have? White usually reflecting everything around it. Around we have lots of green, some of violet and pink, and all these colors we can use for shadows, for values, for napkin. I will go for brownish green. So it's a green plus white plus umber burnt. Not really saturated, not bright mix. And again, same brush as I already demonstrated on a napkin before, flat and slanted. Just a flat brush also will do. Let's create the most important value and shadows here. Biggest fold I just created, and a cast shadow from the vase. It's going to the right side as soon as light shining from the left. Colors similar everywhere right now because we just planning most important shades. I will take smaller brush number 0 because this a tiny area under the gap will be in a shadow. Same here, tiny gap and a shadows under. I added extra white, but mix the same. So it's a previous spot. I just added more white. When fabric laying like this on a table, not only deep folds we have, some dents also there, and this light grayish green will be good there. And as soon as a white napkin can reflect all colors around it, for light areas, I will add light pink. Take a look on a painting. This mix looking as a normal white, but it's not so. Take a look on my palette. It's a light pink. So this way, napkin will look very interesting, will contain a lots of very gentle accents and will still look white enough. Greens in the shadows, pinks on a light. For lace trim, I will use flat oval brush from this set of oval brushes of different sizes. I'm taking white, light pink, there where lace trim going on a light area, and I'm taking green, grayish green from my palette, there where lace trim going on a shadow. It's just a print from my brush. It's even not a brush stroke. Consistency half dry. This way, print from the brush, not too solid. It's a half translucent, I'd say. And you already can feel it's a lace. Again, because it's a tiny distances in a brush stroke. Coverage not good, I'd say. It's acrylic laying only on top. So I print my brush, put on top of the paper and taking out of it. Very light and gentle print. That's it. Don't go with a long stroke. You will ruin this effect. With a small brush, after we can correct the line of the lace trim and we can put a deeper shadow under. And this way, yes, we already can use black because shadow we're laying on a stone tabletop. We used black for the tabletop, and for deep shadows under the white lace we can add a bit of black, but not for flowers here. For stone table it will go okay. Let me mix color for start, because after I'm gonna paint with a tiny brush. It's not handy to mix color with it. It's a green plus black plus white plus umber burnt. Brush is number 0. I want to create pattern of the lace trim. So it's a tiny holes, and the line of those holes repeats the edge of the napkin, and the color for the holes depends what you have behind the napkin. This time, behind the napkin, we have a tabletop made with a stone, and also there is a shadow from the napkin on a stone, so color of the holes can be deep enough. Don't paint it with just a brown. I'd recommend to create with a dark green mixed with a brown, because not only a color behind a napkin will be visible here, but also those tiny threads around each segment of lace trim will be visible there. Painting not big. Not big enough to create everything. Tiny holes, threads around, all those. No, we have to create spot in a general. If you want to go for hyperrealism painting and create every detail, how threads around and all those parts and really detailed, you have to go for huge paintings as 2 meters. each side. Here, as soon as area tiny, we in one go, in one brush stroke, we already have the color of the hole and a threads around, still deep enough, right, but green a little bit. I have the line of tiny holes, a line of bigger holes very near to first one, and the last line far from the edge of the lace have a very tiniest dots there. As soon as dots done, all those lines of dots done, pattern very simple here. We detail it with a white. White this time can be very clear, very shining white with no extra tones and colors in it, and try to follow the very edge of the lace trim, and also try to put a tiny dots there where you have a line of the pattern. As I told you, not only holes there as a pattern, but it's seams around each hole, and on seams, on threads, there we usually can see a bump part. Put there a tiny dot of light. This way you will give more value to the lace trim, and it will give more catchy, even if it's not the main detail. Napkins with the laces looking very interesting in the compositions with the flower bouquets. And for the next tutorials, the same serial that this one and the previous pansies, I will give you more ideas about a different kind of laces and different kind of napkins. And we have to repeat everything on another side. I started with the left side and have to repeat the same for the right side. Tiny dark dots, repeating the line of the napkin, of the edge, and a small light dots on the seam. And a light on the edge. As a last step here, let's take a look on this napkin as a whole part of the still life. I want to put extra white on the lightest areas on the folds. Maybe here will look good. What do you think? Of course, on this edge, just continue in your mind the edge of the stone, and you will find the same line on the napkin under the vase. Put there white. Light done. I will take a look after white layer will dry And if it will be needed, I will double layer of white on areas with the most light on it. But right now let's take a look on the shadow parts. It's still not contrasted enough, so mix I did right now very deep. It's a combination of umber burnt and green and a tiny bit of black, because color have to be not saturated, grayish. This is the sharp edge of the fold, and I will blend deeper shadow with a finger, like this, and blend a little bit. Nice. And let's go everywhere where shadows need to be deeper. Of course, it's a tiny, thin line under the vase. Not wide. Of course, it's a shadow from the vase on a napkin. Also looking too light right now. And I wanna add gentle details on the base of the vase. Let's give more depth to the shadow. Much better, much better. Shadows here have to be close in a tone to the shadows that leaves have in a flower bouquet. See, shadows on the leaves deep enough, so same depth we have to paint here where we have napkin and a vase. Details on the napkin right now looking more sharp. Interesting moment here. Take a look on the area where napkin going very close to the vase on the left side. Right now, napkin looking lighter and the vase looking darker. But it's can't be like this. Napkin going behind of the vase, so there gonna be a shadow, definitely. And a vase there have a light, really nice patch of light on the right side of the shape. So vase have to be lighter and the napkin close to it have to be darker. Really clean white. And it doesn't matter if vase white or not. Maybe it's a dark gray, maybe it's a light gray or light brown. If it's an active and bright patch of the light, here on the right side, it's have to be very light. And white, it's the lightest color in this composition. And a tiny line following the pattern on the base of the vase. I love it. Looking pretty. Wavy base, looking interesting. And basically, vase is done. I don't want to spend too much time for it. Let me know if you're interested to learn how to create patterns on the vase as well. We have so many interesting vases in the reel. It can be colorful patterns, can be monochromical one like blue, very popular was in Holland, for example, and in China, and it's possible to find those vases in still lifes many times. If you like to know, like to learn how to create patterns on the vases as well, let me know in the comments, and I will think maybe on some on the next tutorials flower series. I will include this interesting detail in the composition. I want to sharp a little bit some details, maybe here, tiny white dots on a highest line on a curved base, and a tiny shadow under the lilac on a vase, but it's not covering the whole spot. Take a look on my palette. I clean it right now. I have a really tiny area visible under the camera, and I really wanna demonstrate to you all mixes I do, all my palette work as well. As for you, my friends, I recommend to keep all mixes as long as you're painting, but just grab a big palette, giving you lots of space for color experiments. And I like to paint with huge ones, but as soon as it's not possible to demonstrate on camera, I cleaned this one I have right now, color. Yes, we're going back to our lilac bunches. It's already dried nicely and we're ready to detail it. Color, not white yet. Still not white. It's a light pink, of course. It's a combination of clear white and dark pink. And let me warn you, you have to clean your brushes and water from the previous steps of painting, because remember, we was painting with a brown, black, green, all those unpleasant and dirty mixes. It's not fits well for clean and bright and beautiful petals. So clean your brushes with a soap even. Clean your box for water, and water have to be fresh. Type of brush, same as I was painting before. It's a flat oval, absolutely the same I used for petals before. And with a light pink, I'm following the left part of the lilac bunch, but not everywhere. That's important. It's sometimes flower, the whole shape, but the most of the time it's 2 or maybe 3 petals only. Light spots on the flowers have to be not everywhere, not all petals, even on a single flower, can contain the same amount of light on it. Half of the flower can be on light, right, and another half, for example, in middle shadow. And try to imitate those random spots. And of course, as soon as we jumping to the patchy way of painting, remember about those distant and time by time analyzing of their a common view. More spots we will add, more accurate you have to be about value of the bunch. Light spots going on the left side, and 1 or 2 of those light petals can be visible on a shadow part also. Imagine as a single flower jumping out of the solid shape of the bunch, so some ray of light will touch the single flower even on a shadow area, on a shadow side of the bunch. This way, when this light spot single doesn't well, you will not ruin the main shape of the little bunch. Similar process everywhere. We have here like 1, 2, 5 areas of the pink lilac. Only one bunch really big, others much smaller, so process here going faster. I like the shape. And here I want to split this bunch for 2, for big one here, for main. Well visible shape. And imagine on the left side would be like a smaller bunch. This one. So this part, even if it's joined to the big lilac bunch, but it's have own light and shadows on it. Next, area here very tiny. This bunch really interesting, again, because I wanna demonstrate to you here as a big shape splitting on 2, on a main and a smaller one, and each of it have own light area and own shadow part. I like this pink that I've got right now on my palette. I'm gonna repeat some of these colors everywhere on a previous painted pink lilac. Really like this shade. And last bunch of pink. Shape here completely round. Pink one done. Let's jump to another. I'd recommend go for violet, because pink already here, and we can combine a little bit of pink we still have on palette, plus extra violet. I like to crisscross colors between different parts and the sorts of the flowers. Reflections. That's mean colors casted, for example, violet to the pink somewhere, pink to the violet somewhere. This way, the whole bouquet will look more harmonized, more balanced in the colors. Process the same, color light but not white. Violet, lilac have a deeper tone in general, so this light color for detailing, this layer have to be a bit deeper than a pink lilac had. careful with the shadow part. Some single petals, some tiny light spots can be here, but not many, not many. Enough, I believe. The most of light spots on the left and just single visible on the left. That's it. The last violet on the bottom part of the bouquet. Not many spots of light can be visible and placed here. One brush stroke means one petal. Almost always it's going like this. These flat oval brushes, they are flat and short enough, so it's not containing lots of acrylic. Each time I have to jump back, get new portion of color and return to my painting. Let me take a look. Yes, I think it's looking fine at this moment. I will take a look on the whole bouquet as soon as last one will be done. And last one, it's white. Lightest ever green. And we just repeat the same process as we had with the pink and the violet lilac. If you're short on time, you can create a smaller bouquet. For example, pick up only white and maybe a small pink, or maybe to create a pink bunch on the left part smaller. This way, this composition can be done in around 2 hours as a whole process. But if you will go the same, many colors means many mixes, means time for brush cleaning, all those. Even if painting not hard to follow each step, it will take a time. If you are beginner, it will take about 3.5 or maybe 4 hours. So this is a really long timing, long line, and I recommend to you to split our tutorial in parts. If I feel myself tired, I'm trying to... It's not only about this bouquet, it's about all painting in general. I'm trying to complete step. I'm working at the moment and I'm taking a break. Break depends how tired I am. If it's a morning time, I can go with 2 or 3 hours in a one go. True, if it's evening. Even 1.5 hour for painting can be tricky to survive. So usually it's only 1 hour, and after I'm breaking for tea, maybe for short reading or short walking around. Also, I have kids in the family, so I have to pay some attention on their needs. And plan your time smart. If you wanna learn something that really looking complicated for you, better to choose a time when you're feeling fresh. For me, it's in morning. If you like an idea of painting, but you already know, or you can imagine most important steps of it, then you can just cut tutorials You following my tutorials, right? For like on 1 hour only part, right? And go back to it later. Again, if you already have experience with painting and you're keeping in mind parts of the process, it will be easy for you. If you are a beginner, returning into a painting always needs a little warm up when you start, to go in it again. So it's more not dangerous, but it's more like difficult to take a really long breaks, and I'd recommend to learn something new when you're feeling fresh. All those school lessons that kids usually have, it's always in the morning, not for nothing. It's having a reason, because in the morning, in the first half of the day, we usually more fresh. So with a painting, the same. If I'm learning something, I prefer to learn it on a weekend when I have a free time for myself in the morning. For paintings, I already have an idea. In general, I can work on it in the evenings also. Hopefully, this recommendation will help you to plan your tutorials better. Next step, it's a final light spots for lilac bunches. It's a clear white, and sometimes if you need to, you can fix some pointy shapes of the flowers with a tiny brush, but in general it's just a flat and oval, clear white, and we're going one by one only on those petals where you wanna see the most light. I will switch between two types of brushes, flat oval giving a bigger brush stroke and a tiny number 0. Take a look. It's a reflection going around lots of the flowers. It's looking not that sharp on a right side, but it's looking very sharp and catchy on a dark side of the bunch. Sometimes white is okay, especially on a light side of the bunch. Look here, for example. This outline that petal have looking fine. Let me repeat it here. But for dark areas of each bunches, I will tone white a little bit because the reflections there have to be more gentle. Let me repeat again. Flat lights and outline for other petals. Just go around as a loop. Like this. So even if petal have no flat light on it with white, it's gonna have a loop light following the edge of the shape. And this way, you visibly you will create very high level of detailing, but it's taking less time because we use two kind of brushes. Flat one, it's going fast, and those sharp and pointy one that are giving those crispy thin outline that really looking catchy, and it's giving a visual as you highly detailed each and every flower there, even if it's not so. Let's repeat the trick again. Petals with white. Switch to the small brush and add outline for other light petals. Nice. Last pink. Flat brush first. Brush number 0, second. Let's go white lilac next, which is green in real. Doesn't matter the order of the lilac right now, because we're painting with a white anyway. If it's a green, if it's a pink or violet mix we're using, it's a clear white. By the way, if you have a choice with your acrylic, go for nice coverage right now. I have a different type of acrylics, different titles of it. Some of my local, which is Lilac and the Masterclass calling. It's affordable with the price, and I like to use it. Probably you're gonna have some local acrylics that easy to get near to you. But about white, I recommend to grab at art shop not only a local that sometimes can have an issue with the coverage, but also some well-known. Similia can be Mimeri, can be Daleroni. They have a titanium white that have a very nice, extremely nice coverage. So right now I'm painting with a Mimeri titanium white, and I just love how it's covering. I almost no need to double layers, so it's saving my time. Going with white flowers first, lots of it here, because the color of this lilac is white itself. And let's go with the number 0 brush. And I will follow outline. Here not much of the light, so I used lots of tiny brush and less my flat brush. But here in the center, lots of light, so mostly it's a flat brush. And you can see much less of those outline details. I feel like this tiny outline looking too sharp right now to contrast it. Let me cover a shape a little bit. Yeah, looking better. And the last one, violet type, violet color of the lilac. Order is the same, flat oval first. Following this tutorial, you will really have lots of practice with the petals and with this a way of lilac painting. But this is how experience comes to us, you know? It's not enough just to know how process going and to try it once. Experience and a nice quality of painting came to us after we practice those knowledge we got. And here, of course, many bunches, lots of practice. And remember, please, if you really want to learn well, you have to return back to tutorials time by time. For example, you can paint it once, after you can take a break, create another tutorials those time, but after like a couple of months, for example, or maybe half in a year, you have to return back to same tutorial, watch it again, follow it again, and from the second and the third try, you will always find something new in it, because the most info you already got from it, you will learn from it, but details, some interesting moments you probably missed from the first go. Too much info from the first try, from the first attempt. It's always like that. So from the next attempts, you will learn better and better. I believe this part is done for the violet as well. Some lilac can have a tiny dots in the center of a single flowers, especially if they turn to the front. So just find those flowers that have perfect 4 petals, good visible, big enough, and you can put a tiny dot in the center. Violet can have a deep violet dots, a white lilac can have green dots in the center, and a pink can have a pink. Personally, I'm not always like to create tiny dots, so here in this composition I want to demonstrate you both looks, with the dots in the center and without. So let's go this way. For violet and green I will put, and pink lilac I will leave without a dots in the center. Take a look which one you prefer more, and following your decision you can include dots in your lilac bunches, or you can just skip this step. Also, I wanna give some deeper outline around a white petals. If pink and a violet lilac deep enough by itself, by its color, white it's not. So for pink and a violet we will use lighter colors for reflections. For white lilac, smarter to go for a bit darker reflections. It can be light green, green still light. It's deeper than white, but not, not black, not very, very green. It's just giving a bit more contrast, I'd say. Also, you can mix a tiny bit of violet into the green mix for those tiny reflections. Just go with your brush, follow the shape of the flower, and as soon as a bit deeper outline will follow the petal will look more contrasted and better visible. Final detailization coming, and first I want to demonstrate how to create reflections on a rose and a violet bunch of lilacs. Take a look. Light pink color, and I'm going with those loops on a shadow part with a light violet, on a violet lilac, and with a white pink on a pink lilac. Again, don't put it everywhere. Random have to be on a natural objects. As soon as I'm following the shape of the petal there, right? With just a light color. Seems like it's new flower popping there. Be accurate with the shade of this reflex, because too light reflex can ruin the shape, especially if you will put too much of reflections. So again, just we have to stop in time, and to do it we have to step back time by time and take a look how the whole painting looking in general. Yes, from the distance we can't see tiny details clearly, but we can understand how it's looking as a bouquet and a whole view. So I decided to stop with those adorable reflections, even if I love to do them, you know? It's so interesting to see how flowers popping from the shadow part of the bunch. But again, control yourself. Detailing process, so catchy for painters, for artists, and we really can dive into the process, and we can easily ruin a balanced view. It's always a balance between a sharpness and a softness, between detailing and some blended areas. Try to catch it, even if from the first attempt. It's hard to do, but with the time you'll get better and better. As a final touch for leaves, I also want to go with a light green. Brush a tiny number 0. I only want to touch a pointy tip of the leaves. It's the moment when the flowers already contrasted enough. It's looking adorable, detailed, beautiful, but you have to bring leaves around on the same detailing and the contrasting level. Sometimes this final touch going almost everywhere, it's lighting some pointy details, maybe corners, maybe edges here and there. But I believe for leaves here it's just enough. I like how napkin's looking already, I'm not gonna touch it anymore. Just will give more depth here on the bottom side of the white lilac. Not too much, not too much. It's a center of a bouquet, so there some tiny spots can be very, very deep. And no black again in the mix. If you need to get deep color, we already have everything on a palette. Violet, amber burnt and a green. They together will give almost black mix, but it will look saturated enough, colorful still. And just give some tiny spots in the center of a white lilac. it will give more depth to the whole white lilac bunch. And maybe a tiny bit here and there. Oh, I believe my painting is done, but I had so much fun with it. I so enjoyed the process, and personally, I love lilac. So I just can't stop right now. I want to touch and touch it more and more, perfecting the result better and better. Just need to be careful with this time. Some paintings going very easy, even if plot not easy at all. It's just going well. Some, even if looking easy, going much higher. This one was so much to create, and I just need someone tell me to stop. Yeah, I believe it's a time to put my sign. My friends, don't forget to sign your paintings. Because when we just complete something, complete painting or drawing, it's so fresh in the memory and we easily can remember in what day we create this or those. But with the time pass, even after a week or two, it's harder to remember in what day exactly it was done, and after a month, we even can't remember exactly a day or a week it was done. This way, it's tricky to understand your own progress. So I recommend not only put your sign on a front, on a top, but also put date and your sign on a back side. This way, if you will keep your painting, doesn't matter if it's well done in your opinion or if you're not happy with the result, but with the time you can see all your painting as it was going and you will understand on what details you have to pay more attention and what things really getting better and better. After painting done, we have to remove a tape. I will repeat this process again because all the time we have new subscribers, and if you just saw it for the first time, take a look. I'm drying painting with a hair dryer, hot air first and then cold air. I have two buttons on my hair dryer. And as soon as I see painting flat, it's a paper, so yes, when it's a contain water inside, it's a bumpy a little bit. When it's a dry, it's a flat again. And I'm blowing with a hot air from my hair dryer right now. This way, glue on a tape will be softer and softer. And if you will throw the tape away softly and slow, you will remove tape without any accidental throwing of the top surface of the paper. So be careful. Don't just throw the cold tape as it is from your paper because it can ruin painting that already done. My friends, if you still have any questions about process, type of brushes I used, colors, sketches for these tutorials or any others, welcome, ask me on the comments and I will answer as soon as possible. And of course, share to me your paintings. This is the best reward for me. You can do it through Facebook, which I don't really like personally. I prefer Patreon, much better, and Instagram, also very nice for me. Please leave there hashtag PaintyKat. This way it will be easy for me to find your painting there. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll catch you on the next tutorials. Bye bye.